Hello lovely people and welcome to this video. So this is the second class of 12 working with the spirits of nature, and today we're working with the element of air, which is all about the breath, of course, and about the lungs. It's about freshness, it's about weightlessness. We're going to be working with some balances. It's to do with new beginnings. It's to do with the heart chakra. So we're going to start on the mat in a seated position, or if you are working with a chair because you find it difficult to sit on the floor, then have a chair. In fact, have a chair anyway, because we will be looking at using a chair for some of the poses for people who want to. And it's a really good idea to just practice with a chair as well. So find your way to the mat and I will meet you sitting on the mat or a chair. Okay, so either sitting on the floor in a comfortable position or on a chair, whichever suits you. And we're going to begin by just closing the eyes, lowering the gaze, bringing the awareness into the nose and breathing gently in and out through the nose, being aware of the breath coming in and out into the lungs, and just taking a moment to really tune into the element of air. So we're going to begin by working with the breath and the hands. So having the hands just resting gently on the knees, whether you're on the chair or on the floor. And we're going to, as we breathe in, just raise the arms up gently on the inhale, and then exhale, dropping the hands down. So just working with your breath gently in and out, whichever speed you like to go at. And as you're breathing in, just imagine yourself or feel yourself just becoming more and more weightless every time you inhale and raise the arms up, feeling more weightless, and then gently grounding down on the exhale. So we're focusing on the inhale, but of course we have to work with grounding as well to be present on the earth. So just a couple more breaths here. Beautiful. And then landing the hands back down, just taking a moment here to feel how that is. And then we're going to inhale and take the arms forward and up. And then as we exhale, bringing the hands down behind. So whether you're on a chair or on the floor, you can do this. Taking the hands back behind you. And then from here, either taking the hands to the floor or just reaching out behind. And we're going to breathe in through the chest. So pushing the chest slightly forward, opening the lungs. And then exhale, coming back to a neutral position. Inhale, raising the arms up. And then bringing them down in front of you. Just doing that again gently. So inhaling up, maybe taking a look up, exhaling down, bringing the hands down behind you, putting them on the floor if you're sitting on the floor. Inhaling, gently moving the chest forward, opening the lungs. Exhale, coming back into a neutral spine. And then inhale, raising the arms up and bringing the hands down in front of you or onto your knees if you're sitting in a chair. Beautiful. So then we're just going to come back to neutral spine again, taking the hands out beside you. We're going to inhale one arm up and exhale down. So keeping down to one side, this is keeping the sit bones nice and rooted, both sit bones rooted to the ground. If you're on a chair, just holding on to the side of the chair. And we are exhaling over, taking a nice side bend to one side. And then raising up, bringing both hands up above the head, taking the second hand down to the sides and exhaling, side bend. Beautiful. So if you're on the floor, we're going to come to all fours. If you're sitting on a chair, just stay where you are, and you can do this from all fours. From sitting in the chair. So just being with what's working for you. If you're on the ground, then we're coming into an all fours position like this. Looking between the thumbs to begin with. And we're going to inhale, taking a look forward or up if you're sitting in the chair. So if you're on the floor, taking the spine towards the floor. If you're sitting in the chair, taking the spine forwards. And then exhale, looking between the knees and taking the spine back if you're on the chair, or up if you're kneeling. So just working with it, whatever's working for you. Exhale, one more movement like this. Beautiful. So coming back to a neutral spine, and then we're going to, if you're kneeling on the floor, we're going to come back to a toe squat. So this is where you have the toes tucked under, gently sitting on the heels. If that doesn't work for you, you can come up to a high kneeling and just taking a bit of movement back. If you're doing this on a chair, you can just tuck the toes underneath. And we're going to come into a gentle camel, very gentle because we're only just warming up at the moment. So bringing the hands back, they don't have to touch the heels, but we're just coming into a gentle back bend. So you can do this from the chair or do it from kneeling, taking the hands back, just gently taking a look up, opening the chest across here, taking the hands back, gentle back bend here, opening the heart, opening the chest, beautiful. So coming back to neutral spine, from here we're going to take a lunge, and I'm going to show it from here first and then demonstrate it on the chair. So from here, we're taking 1 foot forward, I'm taking the right foot, it doesn't really matter which one you do. Hands onto that front knee and lunging. So we're just taking the weight forward, trying to make sure that your knee is above your ankle. So if you're doing this from the chair, you're going to be sitting over to one side. So I'm sitting towards the edge of the chair here so that my leg can be kind of off it like this. And I'm going to take that leg back. So it's exactly the same thing, but I'm just doing it from here. Hands onto the front knee and just trying to straighten that back knee. And what that does is it opens up here, which is exactly what we're doing on the floor. So either on the chair or on there, just working with this. Beautiful. And then we're just going to come back and do it on the other side. So just swap the sides if you're doing it on the chair. So I'm coming to my left knee here. And just as I exhale, just gently dropping into this. So if you're on the chair, what you're doing is when you exhale, you're gently straightening that back leg. Beautiful. So from here, we're going to come to a downward dog, and I'm going to show it from the mat first of all, and then show it on the chair. So from the mat, coming back to all fours, and then we're going to inhale, and then exhale, just moving backwards and lifting up the hips, and then just adjusting the feet, keeping the knees nice and bent. And then as we exhale, just dropping down, dropping the heels gently down, keeping the knees bent. Every exhale, taking the shoulders towards the knees.
So just continuing with that, if you're comfortable from there, or coming back down into all fours. If you are working from a chair, you're going to come and stand up and face the chair. You're going to have the knees bent, taking the hands to the chair, like this. Knees continue to be bent. It's really important, because if you have them straight here when you're trying to do a dog next to on the chair, it's actually really strong on the hamstrings. So keeping the knees really bent, and all we're going to do is we're going to come from here and just drop the chest down. So it's exactly the same thing, but we're just doing it standing instead of having the hands on the mat. Beautiful. And then from here, if it's okay for you to drop your hands down and drop down into a standing forward bend, then doing that. If you've got blood pressure issues, then just staying here and just releasing down. If you're in the dog, which we were to begin with, you can just walk the hands and feet together, coming to this lovely dropping sensation here. So here we are just allowing ourselves, our air, to drop into the earth. And then very gently we're just beginning to raise up. So coming up to standing. Everybody coming up and standing up. I'm feeling a bit lightheaded, having suddenly stood up. So a lot of air sensation raising up. So do be careful if you've got any kind of blood pressure issues. You've got a chair there you can sit in. So from here, we're just going to take a moment in Tadasana. Just being here, maybe taking a shake out with the hands. And then we're just going to do some arm movements. So raising the arms up and dropping the hands down. Doing that once more. Perhaps imagining a thread raising up through the top of the head to guide us upwards. So this is all about air, is all about rising up, sort of almost imagining that we're a balloon that's rising up into the air. So we're going to keep that sensation of raising up, but we're going to start to just take some movement, swaying from one side to the other, keeping the feet rooted in the ground, but taking the arms and letting them flop against the body. Beautiful. And then coming back gently to stillness. And then we're going to open the chest. So opening the arms right up, opening the chest, looking up slightly, and then exhale, giving ourselves a big hug. So bringing the hands around, and we're going to then flatten the tops of the hands upwards and see if we can just come into a this is a modified eagle arm, so we're just holding the backs of the hands facing, and then inhaling, opening the arms up again, opening the chest, breathing in, looking slightly up, and then exhale, hugging ourselves the other way, giving ourselves a gentle rock in that hug, and then we're going to come back up in the other direction, backs of the arms together. Beautiful. This is just warming our arms up a little bit for eagle, our arms and everything, chest and everything up to for eagle arms gently. So we're going to now practice a little bit of balance. Now we're going to do some coming up onto tiptoes. So what I'm going to suggest that all of us, whether we're good at balancing or not, start with one foot behind the other. So we're coming almost into a sort of diagonal stance here, but with the hips facing. So it's like a mini warrior one pose, but with both legs kind of straight. And we're going to raise up and see if we can raise up into standing on the tiptoes. And this is amazing because actually it's so much easier to balance. So come down and swap the feet over so you've got the other foot slightly forwards, and then raising up into tiptoes Beautiful. So if you want to practice that a bit longer, because we you know, in the lessons, I'm taking much longer with people practicing this. So just press pause and take a bit of time doing that. But what we're going to do is we're now going to come back with the feet parallel, so feet next to each other, and doing the same thing. So if you've been practicing a bit, doing the same thing, it's much harder to balance here. She says not being able to do it. So it's much harder to balance with the feet parallel, but if you really practice a bit, it can start to become easier. So I'm really feeling myself being lifted up by my thread, being flying high like a bird soaring up into the air. So, you know, it's really worth, if you want to, just really having a bit more of a practice with that before moving on with the video. But we are now going to, from this Tadasana position, this mountain-rooted mountain pose, but also rising up through the crown, we're going to now just take a few balances moving onto one leg and the other. So if you've got your chair next to you, you can turn it around so you've got your the high bit there. So if you need it, you can hold on to it, or even just have it there so you're not holding it but you're just above it. And we're going to just raise one foot up. And you might need to hold on, you might be okay. And then taking the other one down. So again, like I say, in my lessons, I spend longer on this. So if you want to pause the video and practice, then do that. Beautiful. And then from here, we're actually going to come and take a seat on the chair. So come and sit down and just take, so we're quite near the front of the chair. And what we're going to do is we're going to practice doing chair pose, but we're going to do it starting from the chair. So from the chair, having the feet equally, just below the knees, equal distance below. And we're going to just raise the arms up and look up. So that's like proper chair pose because we are actually seated. But from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take the weight forward and we're going to actually try and stand up. And that takes us automatically into chair pose. So then we're going to sit down again. What a wonderful way of coming into chair pose, to actually do it from a chair. So again, just coming up and sitting down. Beautiful. One more time, coming up and sitting down. Lovely. So we can try that without the chair now, or you can just continue doing what you were doing. So if you want to do it without the chair, coming and standing in Tadasana, taking that, so I'm bending my legs, I'll just do it from the side so you can see, bending my legs, and then I'm raising the arms up as if I was going to sit into the chair. It's also called awkward pose, this. And often, the things that are the most awkward are the ones that actually bring the most benefit. So that's really interesting. So I'm now going to introduce you to eagle pose, which is meant to symbolise an eagle actually perched on a cliff, ready to pounce, so pouncing into the air. So you can do it from a chair where you actually just stay in the chair as a very modified version, just by crossing one leg over. And if you can, I can't do it, but if you can take this foot, cross it underneath so it goes behind that one, then you could do that. And then what you do is you take the opposite arm to the leg over the top. So that means that I've got my left leg over the top, so I'm going to take my right arm over the top of here. And then we're doing the same thing that we were doing with doing these arms back to each other, but we're going to actually come into full eagle arms here. And then as you breathe in, you can raise up through the arms. So that's seated eagle pose. So I'll come down and do the other side from standing. Don't trust me that I'm necessarily going to be able to stay balanced because I haven't really practiced it very much. So I'm going to come into my chair pose here. Before I had my left leg over, so I'm going to bring my right leg over. And what I'm going to do is actually put the tips of my toes on the mat, so you can see there. So that's helping me to balance. Now I'm going to come into my eagle arm. So this time I'm going to have my left arm coming over. I'm going to go all the way round and then lift my arms up into eagle arms. So this is another modified version because I've got my toe down. So coming into the true version, I lift that foot up. The true version would be me linking that toe round, but my feet don't, my ankles don't do it. So I'm just here balancing, woo, being with that pose, beautiful. So again, if you want to practice that more, push the pause button, take your time to practice that a little bit more. Okay. So we're now going to just have a very quick go at 2 more balance poses. The first one is Warrior 3 or aeroplane pose. And again, you can use your chair. It's a wonderful thing to use your chair to do this. So we can literally come from the position that we were in the modified downward dog using the chair. So bending the legs, bringing the hands forward, and then take the feet back so that you feel like you've got both legs bent, but you feel like you're in a good place here. I can take my feet a little bit further back. So I am simply from here going to take my weight over into one leg. It doesn't really matter which one you do. And then I'm going to lift the other leg off the ground and then take that leg backwards. So that is Warrior 3. And if I want to then change it into aeroplane pose, I'm going to take my arms off and bring the arms back like this. So I'm going to come back and go on to the other side, do the other side. So again, starting with the legs really bent, taking the weight over onto the other side, lifting that foot, taking that foot back, keeping the lower leg a little bit bent, and I'm going to bring the arms back. Aeroplane pose. So just choosing what works for you, doing what's best for you. Beautiful. Okay. So we're going to try and attempt, if you want to, we're going to try and attempt dancer pose now, because dancer pose is just such a beautiful, uplifted, airy type pose. So I'm going to demonstrate it for you and you can have a go. I'm going to do a very modified version of it first. So it's literally, I'm holding onto the chair here, legs slightly bent, and all I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to lift this leg up in front of me and then take it out behind. And then from here, if I feel confident to let go of the chair, I can do that. And then I can bring my hand up behind. So if I was doing this like a really proper version of it, I'd take hold of my foot, which I can do there. And then, oh, she says, that's why I've got the chair. Perfect, you see. And then I can take a little mudra out here. Now, it's really important to keep the knee down facing the ground. If you come up like this, that's not dancer, that's something else. So we are keeping the hip and the knee facing down. Holding onto the chair if you need to, like that, and then just see if you want to give it a go. And it may be that you're just only starting to really work with your balance. And if that's the case, then don't even try to let go. So I'm going to give it a go on the other side. So bending the knees, lifting this foot up, taking it out behind me, then taking this hand back. Maybe I can grab onto my foot and then coming up into the full pose. Beautiful. So there we go. So I'm going to suggest that you come down onto the mat now, have a gentle rock around on your back, do whatever your body needs, so just rocking from side to side, doing whatever your body needs to roll around and let itself go, and then we're going to gently take the feet out, mat width apart, just drop them down, arms down by the sides with the palms facing up. Take a deep breath in, and exhaling the breath out. Beautiful. Staying here for as long as you need to. Because I move, it doesn't mean that you need to. So thank you so much for coming and joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the practice. If you would like to support me and you are getting my emails, then you will have the bank details and you can make a donation. If you don't come to the lesson, my email is at the end of the video and you're welcome to contact me and I can let you know how you can make a donation. Thank you so much and namaste.